Hello, my name is John Owl. I am the ministerial counselor for Healing the Human and the Being. The package which you have just purchased, which is audio sessions, 75 of them, plus 4 relaxation techniques, plus this startup and introduction and instruction video. I hope I find you well right now. I'm going to relay something very quickly. If I cough, please understand I have allergies and it's allergy season as I am making this video. You'll have to excuse me when I cough. If I were to try to edit out all my coughs, you'd see a lot of choppiness. So, with that being said, let's proceed. Disclaimer and release of liability. You as a user agree that using any or every part of this service is entirely at your own risk. Pastoral counseling services are provided as is, without warranty of any kind, either express or implied, including without limitation any warranty for information services, counseling, uninterrupted access, or products and services provided through or in connection with this service. The service is requested at the user's own choice and with inherent singular responsibility. The user agrees that the use of all or part of the service is entirely at the user's own risk. Any actions or lack of actions taken by the recipient of such advice is done solely by choice and responsibility of the recipient and is neither the responsibility nor liable of John Owl. This service is not meant to be a substitute for counseling or treatment for suicidal ideation or severe psychiatric problems. This service is an excellent way to gather individualized information by which decisions can be made. When asking for ministerial-based counseling assistance, advice, or coaching on a personal problem, it's important the user understand the limitations of discussions when using the service. No assumption of responsibility is made or given, and the party requesting such advice agrees not to hold the pastor responsible or liable in any form or fashion for such actions taken of their own accord. The method and process by which this advice and direction are given in no way would constitute an agreement or liability on the part of the provider, and is acknowledged to be different in many ways than a one-on-one clinical or psychological counseling process. Upon reading or hearing this, you understand, in consideration of the services provided by John Owl, do hereby remiss and release from any and all prosecuting legal action as a direct or indirect result or of own actions, understanding that it is specific intent and purpose of this legal binding understanding to release and discharge all claims and causes of action of any kind or nature which are directed toward counselor, pastor, coach, or corporation. This includes causes which are known or unknown, specifically mentioned or implied or not mentioned nor implied, which might exist or be claimed to exist at or prior to the date of this understanding. The buyer further specifically waives any claims or right to assert that any cause of action or claim or demand has been, through oversight or error, intentionally or unintentionally omitted from this release. The buyer also understands that counselor, pastor, coach, or corporation is a personal coach and ordained pastor counselor, but might not be licensed in your state. Also, when the term counseling or counselor is mentioned above, it does not refer to psychological state licensed professional, psychiatric, or clinical medical advice. The advice is based on how to think rationally and clearly from a shamanic perspective only. The nature and source of all information given comes from the minister and therefore is spiritual, or sometimes referred to ministerial counseling or coaching. John Owl is also not responsible for the download of or condition and integrity of the product bought. The product is manufactured or downloaded by a different or third party, and therefore they are liable for this part of the product. Going through sessions, you are going to find that you will have emotional upheaval. It can manifest itself in triggering some of your fears or triggering some of your anger or some of your sadness. I have made sure that you have tools in the meditation or relaxation downloads that are part of this package that will help you. Please make sure to understand what they're there for and how they work, so that if at any time you have upheaval, you at that point recognize it and will go use the tools provided for you. At this point, I'm going to ask you to go get your significant other. If you are married, please go get your spouse. If you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, please go get them. If you don't, please go get a family member or a friend who is close to you. If you don't have that, then please listen to this. You can't have any kind of progress emotionally without upheaval. I have yet to see anything worth doing not cause something. Does that mean that it's going to cause major problems? Again, I have provided you some tools that will keep the upheaval to a minimum. But it doesn't mean that it won't go unnoticed. If you have a significant other, even a friend, the reason I asked you to bring them in for this is because at this point, someone needs to know that you're doing this, and especially if they're close to you. I would hate for you to not let someone know that this is going on. Because when you're going through a major change, trying to help yourself, it's always good to have someone there to say, hey, you seem a little uptight today, or you seem a little extra down today, or whatever is going on. And maybe you need to think about going and using those tools that he provided. That's all. Or just sitting down and, as a significant other, saying, okay, what is going on? What are you feeling? It won't take but a minute. This isn't about dredging something up and then making you remember it and it's sticking around. These techniques that you're going to be going through are actually made, yes, they're going to bring it up, but at the same time, you're going to release. And it should go away fairly effectively, quickly. Does it mean that there won't be a little residual? No. There's always the possibility of residual. That is the reason I provided the relaxation techniques. And I'll go over those a little bit later in this video. So that being said, please, as a significant other, watch this video with the person who plans to go through my sessions, and kind of keep things in the back of your mind. This can cause sadness at times, this can cause fear at sometimes, and this can cause anger at sometimes. Half the battle is being aware that you're doing something. You may just have to sit there and say, hey, did you realize you're really kind of sounded down? That's all it may take. And they may go, Doug, I did a session yesterday, and I think I still have a little bit left. Or I just didn't quite get out of that mode. no problem. Communication with your significant other is essential. Should be essential anyway, but is essential during this time because you're trying to better yourself and you're trying to help yourself. And having some form of support is always helpful. Okay, now on to acknowledging. I acknowledge that a man named George Dew had a significant part in helping put this together. He's not here to see it come to fruition as he had hoped. He died a number of years ago, but his contributions into this are always going to be acknowledged by me. He was a good man and a good shaman. Therefore, I make sure to always tell people, he's the person who started this. He took a number of psychologies, a number of religions and faith-based philosophies, and brought them together as a shaman does, and put it into something cohesive. He and I collaborated on a number of things in the sessioning, and that is my contribution, is helping him with some of the understandings that I've learned over the years. Putting it together so that it's comprehensive, it works, it's a good start to help someone. Working, of course, with sessions through recordings is not ideal, but there's only so many shamanic ministerial counselors out there, and they're not that big and in number, and therefore getting this out there is important. It gives you the ability to go through this and to help yourself to put yourself in a better position in life and to take back control of your emotions, whereas without, I don't know. I do not believe in speaking ill of anything, so therefore I leave it at that. I hope that you understand this is put together with a lot of care and understanding of the human and the being, or the body and the spirit. This portion is understanding the history of healing and the rules in this type of healing. If you see me look down, I'm referring to my notes, just for your information. Okay, I'm going to explain trauma. Most people do understand a little bit about trauma, but I'm going to explain how I as a shaman see trauma. Trauma is not just something big that happens. Trauma is anything that affects your behavior, uncontrolled behavior. Something that you do on what some people would refer to as on a subconscious level. Trauma can be as small as driving on an interstate day in and day out, getting to the point where people are constantly cutting you off, and then someday you decide, you know what, I'm going to take a different route. because I just don't trust this route anymore. That's a semi-controlled but uncontrolled fear because of what has been happening day in and day out. It is a trauma. It's something that made you change your behavior. Okay, that's a small trauma. As kids, when we're little tiny kids, little tiny infants, we learn very quickly. But some of it's learned by trauma. When we're learning to walk, we will sit there and we'll pull ourselves up to an end table. And when we do that, what's the chance that first 1 or 2 times we're going to smack our head when we start to fall down on that end table? And we're going to approach that end table next time a little differently. It's a trauma. Little one. But it does alter our behavior. So, thinking along that line, when we get a little older, we do things like, oh, gee, there's an electrical outlet. I wonder what it's about. Our parents will try to stop us, but sometimes they don't make it quite quick enough, and we put our finger in there and get a nice little shock. Will we do it again? Most likely no. Learned behavior from trauma. As we grow up, it gets even bigger. Bully on the playground. We voice our opinion to him and we get hit. What we take away from that is behavioral change trauma. Okay. Now let's go even further. Now we're going to start talking bigger traumas. Traumas that we have no control over. As children, sometimes the unfortunate thing happens of abuse, be it sexual, physical, mental, emotional abuse. We end up altering our behavior because of this abuse. Now, how does that happen? How does the alteration happen? That's the key point behind all of this. I'm not going to go off a lot, but I have to explain how I, as a shaman, view you. You are a human and a being. Some people would say body and spirit, or body and soul. Okay. A trauma happens. Let's talk a little bit bigger trauma. A car accident. A trauma happens. We go into shock. We, at that point, as a body, we become kind of a camera or videotape for our spirit. We take in all that's going on. We're in shock. It's a 360 all around us, sight, smell, taste, touch, the pain, the screaming, the lights, everything. All at once, we're taking it in. And there's energy behind it. And for those who say, well, what do you mean by energy? If you've ever been around fireworks and you felt that boom, and you actually felt that, that's energy. It's a shock wave. Okay? Same thing happens on a different level. Shockwave of people coming around, darting around, yelling commands, saying things. Now that's input, all of it. Those words, everything. And it comes into you. Now normally, before, if it wasn't for this trauma, you could prioritize. You could say, oh, okay, this is happening. This person isn't talking to me, this is going on. If you were just observing, you could sit there and say, oh, that person is talking to this person, that person is talking to this person. But when you're in the middle of it, when you're being traumatized, when you're actually the one who's hurt, you can't prioritize. Everything is coming at you. Even if a medical person is not talking to you, it's coming at you. It's going up, and what normally would filter is saying that medical person is not talking to me, he's talking to someone else to go command him to do something else while he's taking care of me. It may slip through the filters, because when you're in shock, it's all urgent. There's no priority. It's all urgent. It all goes in, and all of a sudden, everything is urgent. Everything's going, oh no, he just said hold this. What am I holding? He just said, am I okay? Am I? I don't know. You've got all this going on. And it all goes up. And it goes past the filters because you're in shock. It's literal. And it starts going to the spirit. The spirit is, in a shaman's term, the spirit is that which is always there and is the essence of you. It is what you are all the time, no matter whether you have a body or not. So, if that's going on, and all that's being shot up, normally something that's filtered is no longer being filtered. The spirit in and of itself is getting overwhelmed or traumatized. And it can't deal with it. Most spirits will at that point put it in a position of hold, because it doesn't know how to file it. It's not experience, because there's energy behind it. Okay, that energy is the problem. What normally would be experience isn't. It's traumatic, it's holding, and it keeps you from moving on, and it starts to change and control your behavior. Okay, you've had a car accident. It can take minutes, hours, days, or months, even years, before you actually stop being in shock. So all that time, you go through the pain and everything else, you're still in shock, everything's still going up there like that, and that's a pretty overwhelming thing. Well, okay, now let's move forward a little bit and say, okay, that you're no longer in shock. What has happened? Your spirit is now not able to communicate to you as well or as effectively as it used to. And the part of the spirit that would normally communicate to you has been affected in communications by that trauma. So, okay, you're driving down the road. You're driving down the same route that you went when you were in that car accident. And you see the same corner that you got hit on. And all of a sudden, you can't control yourself. You have anxiety. You have flashes, memories. Or, say you're just driving down the road, and up behind you comes an ambulance or a police car with their lights on. There were lights on during that, the flashing lights on, when you were in that accident. And all of a sudden, you start having anxiety, you start having problems, you start feeling those anxiousness, maybe even you feel the pain. It's flashbacks. You don't get past them because of the energy that's caught up inside. That is the problem. That energy sitting there keeps you from truly moving past the trauma or the issue. That's what I'm here for. That energy. Many people go through many kind of traumas in life. I can't even begin to go over all of them. I mentioned abuse. There's also soldiers who've gone through battle. There's car accidents. There's many types, and if I didn't mention you, and if I don't mention you, your type of trauma, I mean, don't take it personal, please. It means that there's just so many of them. What that means is energy is holding you in place. You do not get past that trauma. Some part of you is still being held back in that timeline, back when you got hurt. You can't advance in some way in your behavior because of it. You have flashbacks, you have anxieties, you have just, even your personality doesn't feel like it can truly change or grow because of it. That is the understanding of the trauma. That's the understanding that you have to have when it comes to the body and the spirit, or the human and the being. You have to understand those parts of this. I describe to people, you are a human and a being. In between, you go from body, which is the vessel that the spirit is in, or the being is in. It's your sensory, it's your experience. It's how you experience things. To the mind, which is your filter. It puts things together as the full experience and filters it into experience. And then it goes to the spirit or the being. The spirit or the being is that which is your essence. It's your true personality, and it's your true experience. It's your recorder. It's your hard drive if you're a computer. Well, like I said, this can get clogged, just like a computer can, just like many things can, if they're not cleaned out, and if a lot of things are running and being overwhelmed, and so on and so forth. Today's society, unfortunately, can do this because we've got so many things going on and so many people around and so many traumas that can be caused. That's what this project is about. That's what healing the human and the being is about. It's helping you undo the energy behind the traumas so that it collapses and just becomes experience. You can remember what happened, but it no longer traumatizes you to remember what happened. It no longer takes you back and makes you break out in sweats or feel the emotional pain. It's just an experience. And that's all. Okay, now I'm going to go on to a quick subject of my website. I have a website, healingthehumanandthebeing.com. All one word, .com. On that site, you will find blogging. So if you have questions, you can go there and see if it's answered. If not, I have my email set up, and you can email me. And please understand, I'm only one person. I'll get to them as quick as I can. And also more explanations, just in case you're running into, after going through this instructional video, you're still kind of iffy. Go there and see if there's another explanation that actually puts it together better for you. There'll also be a study that's going on that the results will be posted as I get them. We're actually looking to put people through this study that are diagnosed with PTSD, and they're going to go all the way through the sessions that you have bought, and we're going to post results as we're able to validate the findings and the understandings of the ministerial counseling sessions. So if you're interested, please go look. And I'll also have more information about me than what you're going to get here. So please feel free to go to healingthehumanandthebeing.com and get more information. Oh, and there will also be, as I release them, what I call intensifiers. You have bought the general sessions. Intensifiers kind of shake things up. They're made as add-ons to what you've already bought, to make it so that things are put in a position, specific subjects, to where you are going to more or less put yourself in a position of not having a choice but to tackle the harder or heavier subjects like PTSD, abuse, drug and alcohol addiction, those type of things. That's what the intensifiers are made for. And I hope as you're going through this, if you say, maybe I'd like to go ahead and include that, we'll go look it up. I have a link set up for that so that you can actually go buy them if they interest you. So far, you understand that I keep saying that I'm a shaman. What does that mean? I'm a truth seeker and I'm a fact finder. I help you find your truth, and truth is in many things and many forms. You can have your own truth in your own beliefs. You can have your own truth in what you see and what you hear. Truth is subjective. Facts are objective. There's no room for interpretation. It is what it is. The reason I bring this to light is, as a shaman, I realize that you as a human, as a body, your body is basically your vessel, your sensories. It is what brings everything in and does the interpretation in the mind. Your mind is the filter. It's where everything comes together. At the point where everything comes together, that's where your truth is. But your truth is only capable of what you see, hear, feel, touch, smell. It's not capable of getting a true overview. The objective part of saying, well, there's more to this than just what I see or I feel. I best describe it as, okay, say you're a clerk in a convenience store, and someone comes walking in, goes back, they buy stuff, they come back, or go back, grab some stuff, come up, and all of a sudden they pull out a gun and say, give me your cash. Okay. At that point in time, a trauma starts because, well, that's a shock. Okay. But even more so, it's your truth. It's what's happening to you, not what's happening to that other person, not what's happening to any other person who's in the building at the same time you are. Just your truth, your witness perspective, and how much you pick up like that. And then they leave. Now, your truth says The guy was wearing a baseball cap, he's wearing a black shirt, he's wearing jeans. That's it. You can't remember much more. But let's say your facts are in the camera that was behind you. The facts zoom in, or are sitting there, zooming in on, yes, he was wearing a baseball cap that had a logo. He's wearing a very distinct shirt. And his jeans had certain rips and tears in them. That's a better description for a policeman than cap, t-shirt, jeans. Not only is that going on, the camera's catching on what's going around in the background, so that you see that there's more witnesses, more people that may know the situation or have caught the situation better and may have seen that person leave and what he got into, or if he ran. You were so shook up you couldn't remember. But the facts are in that camera. They're not up for debate. They are what they are. As a shaman, I believe you, the body, and you, the mind, are that clerk. You're the gatherer. You're the subjective. You taste. Gee, that tasted good to my body. Gee, that's appealing to my eyes. Gee, that feels good to my touch. But the objective is what's beyond that. What pulls in and says in experience, well, of course that feels good because it's this. Or of course it tastes good because that's the body that I have now. Or that has always been appealing to me. That's the difference. And that's what a shaman does. That's what I do as a ministerial counselor, is I look for truth in the traumas. And I look for the facts in the traumas. The interpretation that you put as a being, or as a human, versus the being. The human does not know the rationale. The human does not understand the whole situation. The human knows it happened. When you're in a car accident, you just know you got hit. You don't understand that this person who hit you didn't mean to. Their brakes went out, and you can take that in and rational and say it was nothing personal. It doesn't matter to you, the human. It hurt. There's nothing that's part of the interpretation and part of the trauma. It hurt. But part of the rational part of you, the being or the spirit, says, but it was not personal. It happened. And we can move on now. But unfortunately, because of the trauma, you can't move on. That energy is there. It's sitting there. And it's not going to move on until someone or something gets that energy to move on and release. That's me, the shaman. That's what I'm there for. My background, I was a medic and psychiatric specialist in the Army. I'm now a disabled veteran, medically retired out of the military. I got out, I had my own issues, both physical and emotional. I had to shore both of them up. One was harder than the other. I met up with George Dew. He helped me. He helped me shore up the emotional, and the physical took longer. But that's in my past, and I'm here now. I do have my limitations physically, but as a shaman now, I have a different perspective. And please understand, my perspective is not something I'm going to push onto you. My beliefs are my beliefs as a shaman. I don't believe in making my beliefs your beliefs. So please don't misinterpret what I'm doing right now as, well, when you're done with all this, you're going to become a shaman. No, you're not. You're going to be you. Whatever belief you have, whatever faith you have, stays in you. I do not take that away from you, and I do not try to persuade. As a shaman, I believe in your truth. I believe in helping you find your truth and your facts. They're not up for interpretation by me. And I will say that again. They're not up for interpretation by me. I'm here for you. And I hope you will trust me with that. Alright, at this point we know you've purchased Healing the Human and the Being, the audio recordings of ministerial sessions and counseling. So, at this point, what do you need to know? Alright, you've got the video which you're watching right now. You, at this point, hopefully have your significant other watching with you. At this point, you've gotten a little bit of an explanation as to what is how this is conceptualized. In other words, how we go with the human and the being, the self, the spirit, or the body, the spirit, and how that affects you, and how energy gets caught in all this, making things not become experience, and making it so that you can no longer truly move past a situation. At this point, you're looking at your sessions going, okay, how does this apply to me? How do I make it work? Well, I'm going to explain one or two more things. The first one is you've got relaxation tapes. Or not tapes, I change what I say here. Relaxation sessions. Relaxation recordings. There. Relaxation recordings are done excuse me, to help you. There's 4 of them. There's breathing, head to toe, candle meditation, and energy dump. I'm going to quickly explain them. I ask you to explore them so that you understand them and can figure out when you would like to use them. Breathing is for you if you are somewhere and you need quick control because you're having an anxiety attack, or you feel overwhelmed, or you just need to feel the need to be in control of something. That's what the breathing technique is for. It's something you can do very quickly, almost anywhere. You can't close your eyes, of course, driving, but you can try to control your breathing when you're driving. You can concentrate in a bathroom. You can sit at a table and just control your breathing. It teaches you how to control your breathing and to concentrate on that and let kind of everything be pushed out so you gain control. Please use some common sense when doing it. I'd hate for you to think that you could do your breathing exercise when you're trying to drive and close your eyes and therefore cause an accident. I'm not trying to be facetious or condescending. It just, please use common sense with this. The next one, head to toe, or toe to head, is a body relaxation. If you had a very frustrating day or a very intense day, or you just got done with sessions and your body's up very tense, it's a very good exercise to go through. The candle relaxation is a positive thing. If you're feeling negative and you can't quite clear your mind of it, this is something that works. And if you're wondering, when you're asked to get a yellow candle, this is the yellow I'm talking about, sun yellow. Sun yellow for a shaman is healing, it's nurturing, it's something that helps you grow. It's a universal healing that won't hurt you. It will help you. It will help you as a spirit also. And the last relaxation technique is what is known as energy dump. It's a mini session set up so that if you start feeling manifestations either emotionally or physically, and I will say physically, it will help you. It will give you the ability to dump energy. You can, I actually, personal experience, when I went through sessions on my own with someone, I had a little bit of outbreak of acne. Came up overnight. It was a bubble up of a manifestation of something that happened during my session. So, I did an energy dump. Took care of the situation. Acne went away almost within 1 or 2 days. So that does happen. And energy manifestations, meaning something hurts that shouldn't hurt. Again, you just go through the energy dump. It's dumping energy if you're in between sessions. That's what it's made for. Please don't hesitate to use these things. And you, the significant other, don't hesitate to tell them, maybe you need to go use that, hun. That's what being a significant other or friend is there for. Is to be the eyes that they don't have at the moment. Okay. And I will glance down because I am trying to kind of make sure I keep in this sort of an order. We're going to go over setting up for a session, explanations, word definitions, and yeah, okay. So setting up for a session, I kind of already went over it. You're going to set up where in a place that there's not going to be a distraction. You can't have TV going on. You need to make sure that you have your listening device beside you. And you notice me saying when I do that, I say here, I am a right hand energy pusher. Okay, and you may say, well, what hand do I, or what leg do I push with? If you're a right-handed person, there's a good chance that's the hand you push with. If you're a left-handed person, that's probably the hand you push with. I do know situations where teachers have been known to correct kids when they were young who were left-handed, and they tried to make them righties. You may be a left-handed pusher. You'll figure it out easy enough. It'll feel natural to you. You put your listening device control on the side that's not pushing, so it's accessible. And that will be explained. So you've done that. Next, you're looking at the area. Don't be in an area where there's a lot of technology, where you can't put what we call an energy container. It's not a physical container, it's a container that you make with your energy to contain energy. It's cylindrical. It can be big. Mine normally were something of the size of a 55-gallon drum. You're going to put it in the room. You're going to put it somewhere. Don't put it near technology coming from a shaman's point of view, I've personally fried 2 motherboards. Not from this situation, but energy does have the ability to mess with electronics or mess them up enough to where something doesn't function. So please be aware of this and be responsible for yourself and for others. Also, if you have animals, personally, I would say don't have them in the area. If you have them in the area, fine, make sure you don't put it where you know that they like to go a lot. It's not being respectful of them to put it where you know that they're going to run into it, or put it on top of them. That's not respectful, and it's not being responsible. It's just something that I, as a shaman, want to convey to you. We are respectful, we are responsible when we do things like this. And I ask that you be respectful and responsible when you do this. Okay. Position of body. You can be laying down if you decide to do it at night. You can be sitting like I am right now. Sitting and just be comfortable. And if I'm sitting, I like to have something that props my arm up that I'm a pusher with. Because pushing out, I don't want to have to prop my arm, or I don't want to have to hold my arm. Your arm can get very heavy pushing out energy. You don't want to have that concentration of trying to hold your arm up. So I have something that has an arm that I can put my arm on. That's helpful, and it's relaxing. The idea of keeping good posture means that you can sit longer comfortably. Just because the thing says it's only going to be 25-30 minutes doesn't mean you might not go longer, because you may have to pause here and there. I'll explain that a little later. Word definitions. I'm not belittling you, and I'm not condescending to you as much as I want you to know about these words. These words are, we all know that words change definition over time. And since these words mean this at this time, I want to make sure that in 5 years or 10 years down the road, you may know them in a different way. Well, these are the way that they are meant for these sessions. Angry or anger. The definition: feeling or showing wrath to threaten, painfully inflamed. Fear. An unpleasant and often strong emotion caused by awareness of danger, dread, fright, alarm, panic, or terror. Forget. To lose the remembrance of. Be unable to think of. Grief. Deep and poignant distress or sadness. Negate. To deny the existence of. Suppress. To put down by authority of force. To keep secret. I needed to make sure those word definitions were put in there, so that at any time, if you listen to these, you know specifically those words and their definitions, so there's no question. All right, now I'm going to explain a session. Now this may sound, you may sit there and say, well, you've given me a lot of explanation. Yes, I have, but there are areas in the session I want to make sure I explain so that they come across and you won't go, oh, wow, I didn't understand that, or what does he mean by that? Most of the session you really don't need to concentrate on. Just a few things you do. Well, at least at first. Once you get used to the sessions, they kind of, your body gets used to them. They go in a pattern. You set up, and it just is almost like turning on. It's just automatic. It's like going on automatic, and that's okay. That's actually what we strive for in this, because at that point your body and your spirit are tuned. But the first couple times we have to think about it. What I normally do in my sessions is, at first, and even in one-on-one, normally I sit down, I say, are you comfortable? Okay, anything going on? And we talk for a minute. But then I say, okay, get comfortable. Make sure that you're in a good position. And because these are recordings, I say make sure your media device is close to you so that you can turn it or pause it on and off or skip track. Okay, then I start with, construct a container to hold your, and it's either grief, fear, or anger. What that means at that point in time is you are going to use your pusher hand, or, and some people do this, at least at first, they'll actually get up and they'll physically, with their hands, kind of construct a container. And that may sound silly, but if you think about, we've a lot of us have looked at technology through TV and everything, where infrared shows that when we go like this, we leave a trail of energy behind us. Okay? So if we go off that premise, if you sit here and you go like this and you make a cylindrical container with making sure tops and bottoms are there and all the side, you've just made an energy container. That's one way of doing it. Once you get used to this, you'll learn that with your pusher hand, you can picture in your mind that container, and you'll push energy that will actually make that container for you. So the first thing you'll hear me say is, construct a container to hold your grief. And that's what you'll do. And then I'll say, start a flow of your grief to the container. It can come from any source. You don't have to recognize it for it to go to the container. What that means is, you're going to start that, you've already constructed that container. You've got a flow going that way. Now let's keep it going that way. And as you're flowing the energy that way, don't try to focus on what's going out. Don't sit there and go, man, I feel this, or man, that's really saddening, or no. Let the energy go. This is where you have to just let it flow. It will move as long as you let it. Okay, so it's flowing in. And then you will hear me say in that phrase, or in that same paragraph, and please let yourself know if the container becomes full. What that means is, if you constructed a good, strong container, if the container starts to become full, compress it. Compress the energy inside the container. Just picture it being pushed down. If you feel that the container is not compressible, build another container. Hit pause, build another container, and then keep your energy flowing into it. Please, no boxes and nothing triangular, anything like that. Keep with cylindrical, please. They tend to be stronger and tend to hold up better. Alright, so your energy's going in, and you've got a nice flow going. And at that point, we start with our session. At that point, when I'm in a one-on-one session with someone, tell them, don't look at my words, don't try to concentrate on my words. And some people would say, and I don't necessarily like it, but it works. Just let my words go to your subconscious. The subconscious, to some people, is subconscious. To me, it says, I'm trying to get to your spirit. So let the words flow in. I would tell my clients, look here or look here. Don't concentrate on here. Don't concentrate on my mouth. Concentrate on just relaxing and letting this go, and let the energy flow. And be aware of your body, because if you start hurting as it's flowing out, hit pause. Let the energy flow until it stops hurting. If your arm feels like it's not big enough for the energy that's flowing out, hit pause and let it slow down a little bit, and it will actually calm down. It can get intense. Situations, if you've been through trauma, situation can cause intensity and can cause a little bit of discomfort. And that's okay, it's to be expected. So, once you've done that, that's great. Now the big reason we have another big reason we have the pause here. I'm a shaman, I believe in past lives. You may not believe in past lives. And if you don't, I have made sure that you have the ability to skip over the area that covers past lives. Very simple. The phrase is something to the effect of, if you do not want to deal with your past lives at this point in time, go ahead and skip over the next section. And all you got to do is hit next track. That's it. That's fine. I don't take it personal. Not everybody believes what I believe in. I'm a very neutral being. I'm not trying to influence you. I would prefer you be comfortable with this. So that's the reason I say it that way. And you will just move on to the next section that helps close the session. And you will have just dealt with this life only. And that's fine. Understand though, this life can cover all the way back to your birth, and sometimes even in womb. Not unusual. So, just for your own information. Next in a session is getting to the end. Once you're to the end of the session, you will hear, and let any remaining energy flow into the container. That's your sign that if you've got a lot still going on and you feel like it's not stopping anytime for the next couple minutes, hit pause. Just tap on it and let it calm down. Once it's calmed down, go ahead and turn it back on, and you will hear, you see, and let any remaining energy flow into the container. Again, it can come from any source. You don't have to recognize it for it to flow into the container. And that's okay. That's exactly what it means. Don't have to recognize it. Don't have to concentrate on it. You don't have to stop everything to look at it. It's just going to flow in. And that's all that means. And then we get into and then we say stop the flow to the container, seal the container, and discard the container. What does that mean? It means you are done pushing. It means everything's out. And if it's not, again, hit pause. Once you're done, hit play. And stop the flow of energy to the container. In other words, let go of, or there's no more coming out. Now it's you reconnecting to the container to seal it, to say, okay, you're strong. I'm now saying you are done accepting energy. And then discarding the container. The phrase is, and discard the container according to yours and Earth's agreements. I've asked around and I've made sure that this does not interfere with other people's faiths or beliefs or religions. Earth is Earth. Earth is part of us. We are a part of it. Earth has its living aspects, and so therefore we should address Earth. And we're not idolizing Earth or anything else. We are simply saying, I'm giving to you my energy, which is negative. Would you please do with it as you want? And the reason I'm doing this is because, well, Earth can use it to put it towards a volcano. Earth can use it to put towards an earthquake. Earth can use that negative to whatever Earth feels the need for. And it's not destructive. As a shaman, I felt that out. I made sure that that was not something that was in conflict with. Earth does not have any problems accepting energy because Earth is a healing force and does not mind if we ask for a little help in doing this. So you're doing that. Once you've done that, the very last thing you're going to hear out of my mouth as far as the session goes is, and come to present time and space and remember. What does that mean? That means you've just been on this journey down memory lane. Okay. I'm asking you to come to present time and space and remember anything that you, as a self, as a spirit, as a being, a soul, feel you should remember. And out of experience, I can tell you, you'll remember, but not always for a long time. It may be just something that you needed to be brought aware of so that you understand the reason you do what you do. It may be well, you want to know the reason you have this problem with driving down that specific road, or you have a problem with that specific smell, or a problem with that specific flashing light. This is why. And once it's done bringing it to your attention, it's experience, and it goes away. You don't need to concentrate on it or think about it hard. Let it go. After that, you will hear about 12 minutes of calm, positive music with some positive words to make sure that that session doesn't pull, or to try to help make that session not pull you down or put you in a bad place. Let it come in. Let it work. Let yourself be positive. The one thing I will tell you about session is you'll hear this. That is a command. Not me commanding you to do something other than yes, no, or maybe it will bring up a picture. It's a way of startling or bringing the memory up. It's a command of me saying, did you do this? Did you feel this? Did this happen? It'll bring it up very quickly, normally. That's what this is for. Nothing else. I'm not saying, okay, now jump like a bunny rabbit. That's not what I do. I want your trust. As a shaman, that's my biggest want and concern, is that you trust me enough to trust my words. If you trust my words, if you trust my explanation, if you trust me to help you, these sessions will work. A mini session, or a quick understanding of a session, is construct a container to hold your energy. Once that is done, please start a flow of your energy to the container. And once that is done, start a flow of your energy to the container. Thank you. Now, and please let yourself know if the container becomes full. I apologize if that wasn't quite as put together. Then what I will do is start asking you to flow energy into the container. As a quick reaction, I may say, and I'm going to ask this question, and this is not something that is normally asked in, or is asked in a session. Will sessions work for you, yes or no? Thank you. Now, allow any remaining energy from the session join the flow into the container. Once that is done, stop the flow of your energy to the container, seal the container, and then discard the container according to yours and ours agreements, and then please come to present time and space and remember. So, did you react? You may not take that as a session, but that's how a session works. Except for it's longer. It pushes out energy and you have reactions. It's not made to harm you. It's made to help you understand you, and it's made to give you the ability to take control of your behavior and manner. It helps you become responsible for who you are and respectful to yourself.
Okay, a quick word about rules. Rule number 1. When you are listening to sessions, please do not listen to the sessions more than 3 times in 1 week. You can listen to them 1 time, 2 times, or 3 times, but no more than 3 times. You need a couple days off before you listen to them. Again, session 1, say you listen to that on Friday. You can then listen to it Saturday and Sunday, depending on how you feel and if you feel like you got enough of what you feel necessary out of it. But only 3 days, so that'd be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then wait until Friday to listen to session 2. You need a little bit of time off. You need some recovery time. Rule number 2, taking breaks. Not the smartest thing to do. Once you start this, it's smart to just keep going with it. When you go on vacation, take it with you. You have a listening device. It only takes a little bit of your time, and it will keep things going. Believe it or not, taking breaks, your body actually is going to condition itself to letting go of energy a certain time of the week, and if you break that, your body may actually let you know that you're supposed to be in session. You may actually end up with feelings of intensity, feelings of buildup. So please be aware of that. Rule number 3, concentration. Don't listen to these when you're driving down the road. Don't listen to these when you're cooking or if you're watching TV. This is not about just listening to it when you think, you can be doing something else. No distractions, please. You can listen to it maybe as you're getting ready for work, but just remember, you have to stay in one place if you're going to dump energy into a container. It's best to listen to it when you can sit still for the time to do it. And I would do that more towards the evening, and I would think maybe even before bed or when you want to lay down. And while I'm mentioning that, when you're doing these sessions, you can be sitting or you can be laying down, whatever is comfortable. Just remember, you have to position your hand or foot to push out the energy, and you have to be comfortable when you're doing this, but no distractions. You don't want to be going down the road at 65 miles an hour and thinking that you're putting a container in your car and you're putting your energy into that and you're not watching the road. It's a great way to get hurt, and that's the last thing I would hate to hear about. And I'd hate you to be cooking. That's a great way to get hurt too. If you're pushing out a intense emotion and you don't catch something out of you're just outside your vision, all of a sudden you realize there's a small little fire going on over your stove.
I'm not here to harm you. I'm here to care. As a shaman, I love you as a being, as a spirit. I may not like you as a human, but then we don't like everybody out there. but I love you as a spirit, and I will always strive to help you find that spirit, that true self inside of you, to help you help yourself. And I hope you truly do believe that I mean that, and I hope you trust that. I have no agenda to harm you, and I have no want to hurt you. I hope this is instructional enough. If it isn't, please feel free to go to my website. Please feel free to email me a question or an observance. And I know that I'm not perfect in this, but as long as it conveys the messages that you feel are needed, that's what I'm happy with. If it does not, please let me know. I will strive to, the very least, I will post on my website modifications so that people can find them. At worst, I will redo my video and do a revision so that I can include something that maybe came up that's very, very important. I think I've covered everything, and I can only hope that I've helped you understand the sessions you have just purchased. Again, if there's more that you feel the need to look into, on my website, you'll find, again, the blogging. You will find information about the intensifiers. You will find information about the study that's going on for PTSD. You will find more of a background than what I have given you about me and about the person, the other person who is involved in this. And I hope that I can keep putting things in the future on my website that will help you, that will ring true with you, and maybe be a positive thing. I will see you on the other side, and hopefully you'll find your light at the end of the tunnel with my sessions, and you'll get that light that I have got, and hopefully you'll even at that point be able to help others and steer them towards my sessions. The more we help each other, the better off we are. I hope this finds you well, and please, if something didn't connect, don't hesitate to go to healingthehumanandthebeing.com and message me. You have a good day, and I wish you well with the sessions. Thank you.